Where we are is the Mobi Slave Relics Museum. And this is the museum that will be seeing the re-chain, the shackles used on the neck of our forefathers during the period of slavery. The chains and shackles will be seen there are over 500 years. Because during the period of slavery lasted there in Badagry for 350 to 400 years. The compound we are is the Barakun of Chief Seriki Faremi Williams Abbas. During the period of slavery, this is the compound they used to keep the slaves. There are 40 rooms in this compound, and in each of the rooms, 40 slaves are kept in each of the rooms. Minimum of 1,600 slaves are kept in this compound for 3 months. Before the arrival of the slave ship, they will now move the slaves out from the cell, across the port, across the lagoon, down to a place called Point of No Return. All over the world today, the compound we are is called Brazilian Barakun. Now, what is a Barakun? A Barakun is a Spanish word meaning a slave cell where they used to keep the slaves. Majority of the slaves taken out from this compound were taken to Brazil, and that is why this compound remain Brazilian Barakun. We have the cenotaph of the man who owns this compound called Seriki Williams Abbas. Seriki Williams Abbas. Who is he? He was a former slave that later became a slave trader. A former slave that later became a slave trader. How? When he was born, the name given to him by his parents is called Ifare Milekun. Ifare Milekun is a Yoruba name. But how come Ifare Milekun later bear Seriki Williams Abbas? It's because the slave don't have a name. A slave don't bear their name. They have to bear their master's name or any name their master choose to give to them. The young man, he was captured as a slave at the age of 6 in a Yoruba village called Jogawele in today's Ogun State by the slave raiders. Now the first slave owner who owns the Ifare Milekun was a slave named Abbas. Who is Abbas? Abbas was an Islamic scholar from Dahomey in the present Benin Republic. When he got to Dahomey, we have two categories of slaves. We have domestic slave and the field slaves. Domestic slave are the slaves that work in the house of their masters, while the field slave are the slaves that work on plantation farm. Through his first owner Abbas, he made the young boy Ifare Milekun a domestic slave. Mr. Williams is a white man that usually come all the way from Brazil to come and buy slave in West Africa from Abbas. Whenever Williams got to Abbas, Williams keep on disturbing Abbas. That who is this young boy? I want you to sell the boy to me. One day, Abbas resold Ifare Milekun to Mr. Williams. It was the second slave master, Mr. Williams, who finally took Ifare Milekun down to Brazil. When he got to Brazil, Williams taught him how to read. Williams taught him how to write. Williams taught him how to speak the white people language, Dutch, Spanish, English, and Portuguese, which is very, very unusual for a slave. They could go to jail for it. Now, instead of the second slave master, Mr. Williams, coming back to West Africa and be buying slave from Abbas in Dahomey, he preferred to do the business. William preferred to do the business directly with the boy he has trained, because he has given him education. He could read and write. He could speak his master language. He called him and asked him, "Young man, will you continue to be my slave, or you choose to be a slave trader?" He told Williams that you are my master. Whatever anything you want, I'm ready to do it. When Williams gave him freedom, when he came back to Africa as a returning, he first settled down in colony of Lagos. He settled down at Ofin. Ofin is between Idumota and Akpongbo. When he came back to Badagry, it was the second slave master, Mr. Williams, who finally built the Barakun for the young man in the year 1842 as a slave cell. The Seriki in his name is a Muslim title. Because of his own interest in Islam, the Muslim community in Badagry Kingdom made him the Seriki Muslim of Badagry Kingdom in the year 1895 till his death in 1919. That is why he bear Seriki Williams Abbas, the name of the first slave owner, the second slave master, Mr. Williams, and the Muslim title given to him. Don't forget, Barakun means a slave cell where they used to keep the slaves. Now look at this two entrance door. The two doors. It has been in existence when this compound was established in 1842. Over here are some of the European products used in exchange of slaves in West Africa. But before the arrival of the Europeans to Africa, we blacks, we Africans, we have the money we do spend in Africa in the olden days. This is called carry. Yoruba call this Uweyo. This is only recognized between the blacks. When the white people came, they refused to accept these from we the blacks as a means of exchange, and this led to the introduction of trade by barter. Trade by barter simply means exchange of goods for goods, but then it was exchange of able men with items like umbrella. The value of an umbrella in Badagry was 40 slaves. The value of an umbrella.
This is for 40 slaves.
The only surviving umbrella. When we go into this set, we are going to see that a bottle of liquor, a bottle of alcohol, go for 10 slaves. A bottle of gin in Badagry was 10 human beings. These are called the cannon guns. The bigger size of the cannon gun for 100 slaves, while the shorter one for 40 slaves. The den gun go for 40 slaves. Now
Wait, is this not Shinap?
This is Shinap.
They made Shinap in Nigeria now.
I will respond to you. We are on video.
Okay. Shinap, really? How come?
The cannons and the den gun, we use them to fight ourselves in Africa so that we can get more slaves to the white people. We have ceramic bowl called breakable plates in our houses. The value of the plate was 10 slaves. The mirror and the waist bead, depends on how you bargain.
Is this Ado?
The mirror and the waist bead, it depends on how you bargain with the European. The brass dish and the kettle was given to Serikabas as a gift. This is called brass dish. The brass dish and the kettle was given to Serikabas as a gift by his Brazilian friend and his German friend when he became the Seriki Muslimi of Badagry Kingdom in 1895. Now let's see the room where 40 slaves were kept for 3 months.
This is Shinap now. How come they use Shinap to exchange slave? This is no short taking holiday. She be. Is this not do holiday? Ado butu. So that means our ancestors don't mess up. Imagine these glasses for.
The male and the female are kept into separate slave rooms.
This is the male.
For them not to have any sexual intercourse within themselves. 40 able men are kept in the inner room. We'll be going in later. The room we had, this is called the inspection room. Before the white people could buy any slave in this compound, then we bring them out, then we inspect them, then we check their health. That the slaves are very strong. They are very capable of working on plantation farm before they can buy them. Here we have the only surviving umbrella that was used in exchange of 40 slaves. This was used in exchange of 40 slaves. And this is the same umbrella on the head of the man called Serikabas and his council member in 1895 when the British government.
So this man don't collect like 40 slaves for this one now?
Yes. So this was used in exchange of 40 slaves. And these are called Ankushari. ANKLE. They invent these on the ankle of 2 slaves by this. One for one slave, the other one for the other slave. And they will lock it together. One ear, another one ear. And they will lock it together with padlock. For slaves not to run away while they are busy working on plantation. Look at that. That item number 7. It is called the iron drilling bit. A slave don't have a name. A slave don't bear their name. They have to bear their master's name or any name their master chooses to give to them. Now then we put that on fire. When it's very, very red and hot, then we use it to write the name of the slave owner on their chest. If they are female, they write it at the back of their body. They call it slave branding for identification because the slaves that are kept in the slave cell were owned by different slave masters. Here is the picture of the man called Seriki Williams Abbas, who was a former slave that later became a slave trader. What's your head?
I picture a reader.
The funniest, the annoying part is that he was treated with
40 slaves are kept in here, and that is the only ventilation for 40 slaves. These are called the ceramic bowl. Each of the plates for 10 slaves, meaning 50 slaves were used in exchange of 5 ceramic bowl. This is the bottle of gin of 1873 from Vienna. A bottle of gin was 10 slaves. Those are the olden days record of gramophone before the arrival of cassette and CD. That is the brass dish and the kettle that was given to Seriki Abbas as a gift by his Brazilian friend and his German friend when the man became the Seriki Muslimi of Badagry Kingdom in 1895. That is the money we spend then in Africa called cowrie. Yoruba call it oweyo. During the days of Seriki Abbas, the pot in the middle, that is where he cooked his soup from. He drank his water from this pot, but because he was a Muslim, he performed his ablution with this before going to mosque. 40 slaves are kept in here for 3 months. Let's see where 40 female and their children were kept for 3 months.
Imagine 40 slaves in this place. Imagine 40 people in this place. 40 people.
This is massive.
Amon.
Ventilation.
And these are the sample of the pictures of the slaves. Can you see?
Okay,
this one. This as well.
Sunlight is
Yeah, we went to the female cell. The female cell.
This is the female slave cell where they used to keep the female. 40 female are kept in there with their children. That is where they excrete. That is where they urine. That is where they do their messes. Some of the pregnant women were also captured as slaves and they gave birth to their baby in there. Then we have the picture of one of our African chiefs who preferred to kill himself rather than to be captured as a slave. This is called iron muzzle. They invent that on the mouths of the slaves for slaves not to eat any farm products while they are busy working on plantation farm and for them not to communicate within themselves. This is called, during the days of Seriki Abbas, this is the cloth work. Yoruba call this Ashwetu, and this is over 200 years. Yoruba call this Ashwetu.
200 years.
Cloth Seriki Abbas work. Here we have the status of Seriki Abbas. If you notice a picture in the first cell, this is the same cloth he was putting on in his picture, and this is called regalia cloth, regalia, and the staff of office was given to Seriki Abbas by Governor McGregor of Lagos Colony in the year 1902. Lagos Colony today is known as Lagos Island. This was given to him by Governor McGregor of Lagos Colony. These are the picture. Some of the picture of the slave returning. We have Santos Silva is one of the slave returning. If you have some friends, some relatives, they are bearing him like Santos Silva, Cole, Coca Smith, Johnson, William Salvage, Salvador Damenda da Costa da Roja. They are all slave returning. Because when the British government put an end to slavery, some of the slave descendants who could trace back their route to Africa, we call them slave returning. If you go to Freetown in Sierra Leone, Lagos Island, or Abeokuta, those families are there. That is the picture of the man called Chief Darusha of Lagos Island. Darusha is very common among the Yoruba. Yoruba will say, the Darusha. Darusha was a slave, but when he was given his freedom, when he came back, he became the slave richest returnee in the 60s. He became the slave richest returnee in the 60s. And this is the cell.
Sorry.
This is the cell for 40 female.
The female cell.
Children. That is the only ventilation for 40 female and their children. These are the kind of punishment, torture, given to disloyal slaves. A man sleeping hung as a punishment, a woman sleeping hung as a punishment. Let's see where Seriki Abbas was buried when he died. 40 slaves are kept in here.
40 female in this place. I'll bury 40 man, baby. Aye. Báwo ni bára wọn sùn?
Like, come on, see, Bara was my man, come on, see, my people, lele.
Sure, man.
Come back, come on, Bàbá mi náà. Òun ni. Obìnrin wọn ni yìí. Lóko.
For domestic purpose since 1847. All the rooms in this compound were formerly slave cells. Where there is question and answer, please.
Alright, the question is, so anytime the slaves are meeting, having intercourse, no man also. So, kilo man shele.
That I don't know because I was not born then and there was no record of any slaves sleeping with each other.
There's no any punishment.
Because they were kept in separate slave room. The slaves were kept in a separate slave room. So I don't know. Maybe it can happen on plantation farm, but right in this compound, nothing of such. We don't have record for that.
Okay.
I can't do it for 1,000 naira.
Okay.
Yes, I can't. You are a content creator. This is the slave port. There used to be an entrance there before. Once they move the slaves out from the cell, they will walk them in through the slave port, load them into a paddle boat to cross the Lagos Port Novo Lagoon down to a place called Point of No Return.
So how can we get to that point of no return?
We talk to that my sister. So
how can we get to that point of no return?
The point of no return, to have access to it, you have to cross this lagoon with a boat and a life jacket, and the boat are very, very safe.
Okay, and he's following us. Yeah,